Mercedes' recent back-to-back wins have created a shockwave through Formula One. They've gone from floundering with ineffective upgrades to adding performance with the precision of a surgeon. Toto Wolff isn't a man used to losing, and the last 2.5 years have been tough on him and his team, but with their recent improvement in form, Mercedes are ready to retake their spot at the top of the sport. They have huge plans for the next few races, and Toto Wolff is planning a return to the turbo hybrid era when Mercedes dominated for 7 straight seasons. Today, I'll check out what the team is planning for the next few races, what they want from the rest of the season, and why they are expecting a return to the old days, so don't go anywhere. Through the opening 8 races of the 2024 F1 season, Mercedes has failed to find a podium finish. It was their worst start to an F1 season since 2011, and considering the trouble they've had upgrading their car during the ground effect regulations, few people had any hope of them turning that around. However, during that joyous worst start to a season in their history, Mercedes had a breakthrough which would change everything. After Lewis Hamilton's win at the British Grand Prix, Mercedes boss Toto Wolff explained his team's shocking turnaround to the media. There was a moment where, led by James, suddenly the data made sense and the gap. Mainly the way we balanced the car and how we could bring it in a better sweet spot. That was the main thing. It wasn't a miracle front wing, it was more the balance that we achieved. Mercedes' data and simulation problems have been well covered over the past 2 seasons. They have been hamstrung by an inability to match up their simulation working with the real world. Since this moment of divine inspiration for James Allison, though, the team have been surprisingly strong, stronger than you might think. They've scored 142 points in the 5 races since George Russell ran a new wing in Monaco, which seemed to unlock their car, outscoring every team on the grid including Red Bull. For now, though, they remain 4th in the Constructors' Championship with a 152-point deficit to first-place Red Bull, but they aren't planning on staying there. Mercedes have now completely corrected their early season woes, and the W15 is now competitive across all circuit types, largely thanks to a steady stream of upgrades, which have worked so well thanks to them unlocking the key to applying their simulator work to the real world. Since James Allison's breakthrough moment, Toto has said it's like working with the old Mercedes team, not the one that has struggled through the ground effect era. Suddenly, everything that didn't make sense made sense, and the results of development is like in the old days. We're finding performance, we're putting it on the car, and it translates into lap time. That wasn't the case for the last 2 years. The thought of Mercedes returning to the old days is a scary thought for many fans. Having watched Mercedes win both championships with ease for 7 straight seasons, the idea that they could dominate in the same way again is a worry. However, with the cost cap in place now, Mercedes can't exploit their monetary advantage to outdevelop every team on the grid. That doesn't mean they aren't going to try though. Mercedes are yet to look like they have the fastest car on the grid. Verstappen and Norris's crash in Austria was a gift for George Russell, and McLaren should have been able to put far more pressure on Hamilton in Britain, but their strategy let them down. Lewis Hamilton admits his team don't have the quickest car in Formula One yet, but expects them to make significant progress with their coming upgrades. With a move to Ferrari happening at the end of this season, Hamilton said he was relieved he'll not leave Mercedes without taking another win for them. However, he isn't happy to stop at just the one, and believes with the upgrades plan the team has, Mercedes have more wins coming. There is still a long way to go, he said. The car, by no means, is the quickest car on the grid right now. I think we're super close, and I think hopefully with the next upgrade perhaps, we'll be in an even stronger position to really be fighting at the front row more consistently. Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff said the team will bring upgrades to the next 2 races at the Hungaroring and Spa-Francorchamps. Despite struggling for race performance, Mercedes have taken pole position for the past 2 seasons at the Hungarian Grand Prix, and with their upgraded W15, they're favourites to take the win this year. With upgrades planned for the next 2 races and more definitely due for when F1 resumes after the summer break, Mercedes sound confident in their ability to keep winning races. George Russell, who also took pole at Silverstone as part of a Mercedes front row lockout, declared Mercedes were clearly back on the evidence of last weekend when they rivaled McLaren for the fastest car amid challenging changeable conditions around one of F1's highest speed tracks. "It does feel that way," said Wolff in agreement with his driver. "In Austria, we weren't far off. When you look at the gap that we had before the Verstappen-Norris crash, it was maybe 2 tenths a lap, or a bit more. And that is the closest we've been for a long time, on a track that we didn't like so much in the past. That gives us hints that it could be getting much better. Honestly, we didn't think it would be Silverstone because of just small stuff that we put on the car. We were more expecting Budapest or Spa, but I agree with George, we justified what we do is right at the moment. Mercedes' sudden surge in performance has brought attention back to their vacant seat for next season. Mercedes are yet to decide who will succeed Hamilton as teammate to Russell for 2025 when the 7-time champion heads for Ferrari at the end of the year. That has partly been influenced by the fact that Andrea Kimi Antonelli, the team's promising in-house option who won his first F2 race in the wet at Silverstone, is already on Mercedes' books as a junior driver, meaning the team have the luxury of waiting to see how the Italian's year in the feeder series develops. Mercedes' decision to take their time on a final decision had appeared to rule Carlos Sainz out, with the Spaniard having been initially pushing for an earlier decision on his future. But the fact that Sainz remains on the market into the summer appears to have brought him back into the equation too. Sainz's continued lack of a seat for next season has put the entire grid on hold, as every team with a free space for 2025 is waiting to see what his decision is. Wolff, though, played down the idea that the team stepped forward in form, and the fact they were suddenly back in front-running contention heading towards 2025 had led to any dramatic change in their driver deliberations. In a way, we need to stay calm, continue the season, continue to focus on the car, and then look at whether the options are still the same, he said. But it's not like it's changing everything upside down. Promoting Antonelli to an F1 seat for next season, were Mercedes to have a championship-challenging car, would be a risk. If Antonelli doesn't turn out to be everything that Toto Wolff thinks he is, then it could cost Mercedes a constructors' title. If Russell doesn't turn out to be capable of the consistency required for a driver's championship title, then having an unproven rookie in the Mercedes' second seat rather than Carlos Sainz could cost them the chance at that title as well. Having piled the pressure onto Antonelli by hyping him up for an F1 seat throughout the season, the shaky start to the Prema Racing Team season has made people question whether Antonelli and his teammate, the soon-to-be Haas driver Oliver Behrman, are ready for F1. But Wolff is convinced Andrea Kimi Antonelli's maiden Formula 2 win at Silverstone will serve as a weight off his shoulders in the remaining races. Speaking about how important that first F2 win was for Antonelli, Wolff said, "It was so difficult this year, because the car, you can see that, him and Behrman are struggling a lot with the car, and he isn't happy with his driving. But seeing him on Saturday walking over the water, in the time is bigger than everybody else. You can see the talent and the ability and the potential this young man has. Winning that race, he took a lot of weight off his shoulders." What the Mercedes lineup will look like for next season is going to remain a mystery until Carlos Sainz declares himself for a team or Antonelli gets the nod from Toto Wolff. What isn't a mystery is where Mercedes are headed at the moment. They're on the rise, and a win in Hungary this week would continue to confirm that. What do you think of Mercedes' plans to return to the old days, as Toto Wolff said? Can they continue winning this season, or will McLaren and Red Bull keep in the battle? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.